Hey, good people. Sammy Ashe here, Executive Director of the Ashe Academy, and your host of our Inspire, Uplift, Engage podcast. Now, I know you're enjoying outside and summertime, but just want to remind you that school is just around the corner. So, we're asking everyone, parents, guardians, teachers, educators, and students, how they feel about going back into school, whether virtually, hybrid, or completely back in person. We'll be releasing these candid conversations on August 21st, so keep an eye out for all of that. And we've got an initiative to adopt 10 classrooms across the nation, too. Here's the deal. You have to nominate a classroom, and we're also asking our community to come together to raise funds so we can provide these spaces for young minds with resources that many times come out of teachers' own pockets. We're sending out everything from hand sanitizers, tissues, pens, pencils, markers, colored pencils, and more, so join our initiative today. We are also accepting in-kind donations too, so if you've got a kid-friendly book or product, we'd love to include it in our packages. For instance, I'm donating 2 of Keaver Brenai's new book, Colors of Nature, to each of our classrooms. More on that in the episode ahead. Join us in doing our part to give back for this year's Back to School Town Hall. Now, let's get started with the show. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Ashe Academy's Inspire, Uplift, Engage podcast. I am Sammy Ashe, and today we are joined by a dear friend of the foundation, Keaver Brenai. Thank you so much for joining us once again for another thing, because you've been on the show before, you've been at our events, but now it's time to give you a show of your own.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for having
All
me.
right, so you are a multi-hyphenate, a person way beyond my hyphenates, but a person after my own heart, because the list keeps on going. So I will give you every last one of your flowers right now. So Keaver Brenai is an award-winning voice-over performer, vocal recording artist, singer-songwriter of the children's album The Color of Love Is You, author of the book Grief Relief Confession Leads to Recovery, founder of the music-based, veteran-focused nonprofit Brenai Foundation, and also the author of Colors of Nature. So we're going to talk about a few of those different things, but let's start at the beginning. Like, how did you get into, I guess, the arts at large? Because I feel like this is a huge umbrella that all of your hyphenates are under, but like, where does your story begin?
It is a very, very broad umbrella, to say the least. I started singing professionally when I was 12 and doing studio work. And prior to that, as just a tot, I grew up in the church and I started, going to rehearsal with my mom and my grandmother. So, I was exposed to music and my brothers are in music. And so, I just kind of, I guess it was natural. I don't know. And I started playing musical instruments young, in school. I did sports and I did all sorts of stuff, but I also did, a lot of music. And the music is the one that just kind of segued into something else. So as a teenager, I did a lot of musical theater. And then in college, and well, I took some acting classes, and then in college took more acting classes. And some of those acting classes actually taught us about our voice and how to communicate. And then I studied, how to edit and how to record, how to, build your own studio. So that creative space just came from all of that. So I was a music major with a communications minor. So I
Okay.
think the writing part came from that communication side of just, just how to talk. And I was also on the debate team and I was on the speech team. So it was just like really, fun. As a child, your parents allow you to, you know, be a part of lots of different things to kind of find your way in life. So finding my way through that ended up being music and being an author and being a voiceover artist. So yeah, that's how it all started.
Awesome, awesome. You're taking me back to middle school when I who I used to say that I was very quiet and didn't like to talk, but you see, I started something where I get to bother people and ask them questions. So I'm nosy, but I was on the debate. Well, I don't know if it's the debate team, but like the speech team for sure. It was only short lived because I guess I just didn't have a passion for specifically that. But yeah, that was a that was a throwback. I do enjoy the travel for it, but yeah,
Yeah.
that is like 15 years ago now for me, maybe more. Let's not talk about age.
Hey,
Let's move
you're only
on.
26. Don't try to judge it. You're only 20.
I'm going to claim looking that way, but I am not 26, everyone. You guys know. Okay, so all of these things, it seems like you had a great support system along the way. So what did those teachers or professors look like? Mentors, did you have that outside of your, I guess, familial base?
I did. I did. I had, and it's interesting that you asked that because some of my teachers and mentors I still talk to today. It's like
Awesome.
they are still a part of my life, and they are still people that I bounce ideas off of, and there's still people that, that I hone in on so that I can stay grounded and just stay humble. So, they are definitely, people that are a part of my core, and they're like the reason that I still continue to create, because creatives get frustrated along the way, and creatives need a mentor. They need someone to bounce ideas off of. They need someone to drive them forward. Creativity is based on your experiences. So if you don't have any experiences, what are you creating, right? So as I talk to different people, I learn their experiences, and I learn what they're doing and going, where they're going, and what they're seeing and who they're talking to and what they're reading and what they're listening to. So I really value the coaches and mentors and people that are in my life that allow me to, bounce ideas, talk to, hear from, learn from. I mean, that's like the basis of all of it, really.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, I will say, speaking from people who either have graduated or have been out of school for years now who didn't have a mentor, how did you start those relationships with those people? Like, were you paired with a mentor, or did it just develop into that? What did that look like? Because that's what everyone wonders. Like, okay, how do I get there? Like, I want a mentor. I want someone to guide me, to help me, to bounce ideas off of. But like, how do I talk to someone to get there?
Right. In my life, it's been a true blessing. It's been a divine work, I feel. 99.9% of the people that are my mentors or people that are inspirational in my life are people that I either met from school or people that I met along my ministry journey, right? There are one or two people that I was introduced to by those same people, though, along that journey. So it's kind of, they're all encompassing together. Um, I can't really say that I've ever randomly decided to choose a person,
Mm.
right? I don't think any of what I've done has been random. I think it's all been pretty strategic, based on where I went to school, who I studied with, the genres that I've been involved with creatively have just kind of catapulted, even from the music side, it just kind of evolved into who I'm in contact with now, who I've been in contact over time. I will say, however, though, if a person does not have a mentor and they're maybe branching into a new field that they didn't study in school, so there's no real bridge for that, I would suggest maybe, vocal groups, and not vocal as in singing, but just vocal groups that you attend, whether they're social groups that are very vocal, online groups that may not be a part of your social media life, whether it's LinkedIn or Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or whatever, any of these type of groups that are there of people that are very vocal, maybe you can kind of chime in on some things and see if that's something that resonates with you, and maybe you can find, some sort of mentor there, and be bridged with something there. You can also start just, grassroots with your friends and family, to see who know they know, who they know, who they know, right? And then that can be a very personal, type of mentorship going on because you have some sort of relationship built there. So I feel that mentorship is very important. I feel that being able to talk to someone and being able to just, you know, announce your projects is just amazing, because now you're dealing with what your audience is going to look for from you,
Mhm.
as I've come along in my life and done different things and grown. It's like your audience wants more of you, right? And it's not you being something you're not. You're just being natural. So for myself, if I sing something, people want to hear it. If I talk on a commercial, people want to hear it. If I'm the narrator in a movie, people are like, Kever, where are you? What are you doing? If I'm writing a new book, they're like, Kever, tell me more about it. So as you grow, you will expound on your ideas, and that in itself may generate people, into your world that may become your mentors as well. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I'm so glad I asked you that because I feel like so many people are like, I don't have anyone to ask
Hmm.
because that's the barrier. So like if someone else would ask for me, which is why I'm here to help all the people who don't have that guide. Even my internal team, as I always mention, is like you're gonna get some degree of mentorship from me. Whether you like it or not, I'm going to try to help you. Whether you want to take the help, it's up to you.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna push it down your throat, but I will like try to provide things to you that I would have loved someone to do for me. And it's up to you to
Exactly.
take the advice or take the recommendations. But as long as I am doing that for people, that's perfect for me.
Yeah.
So that's beautiful. And you also kind of segue into a little bit of the peer uplift. So maybe you don't find a mentor in these spaces, but someone who is your peer who's, hey, we're gonna figure it out together and get there. Uh,
Yes, and that's key. That's very important. The peer part, Sammy, is very, very important because in the world that we work in, any level of creativity, there's always conflict. In any area, I feel there's always some level of conflict. But when you can find a peer that's on your side, that's willing to support you, right? Any person that has ever been referred to me, sent me an email, called me, or anything like that, I've been willing to help them. I've never charged any money, I've never done anything like that. Any questions that they just wanted to ask me, I've been open and transparent and honest because I feel a peer can be very helpful to you. So, yeah, I think that's awesome.
so all right. So speaking of your very first project, how did that come together? Like like the ones that you name as like, okay, this is my like very first, and I always put it in my intro, like, okay, announce me as like
Yeah.
the author of this. Like where does the like building blocks of that project come together?
The first book that I wrote, the first book I authored, is titled Grief Relief Confession Leads to Recovery. And that book is about the passing of my parents. And I write chapters in there that talk about different instances of me experiencing time with my parents. It could be a fun chapter, a very memorable chapter. It could be a sad chapter. But each chapter at the end of it has a group of questions. And I clearly state I'm not, medically entitled to lead you down a path. These are my questions, but I give my answers. This is how I dealt with the passing of my parents, how I dealt with my grief. And I feel that my confessions then led to recovery. And my confessions were journaling. As I state in the book, you can answer the questions and journal and write what you felt about it, right? Or it could be talking with a person like how you and I are talking now, and how we've talked on another episode that you've had where we've dealt with grief and how we've talked through scenarios of that. I'm not going to make you cry tonight. So, you know,
Kevin, you cannot guarantee that. Don't even think about it.
I'm not gonna make you cry tonight, I promise. I'm not gonna make you cry tonight, I promise. But um, that kind of layout helps your reader become engaged, and it then takes your book from becoming a paperback or an ebook to an interactive experience, because the person can write their own answers and then go back and discuss those with other people, right? So it's very intuitive, it's very interactive, it's very engaging, and and it happened from my needing to deal with my pain, my needing to deal with my anguish or my loneliness after both my parents were gone. I mean, that it's still to this day. It's very hard for me when Father's Day, Mother's Day, birthdays, holidays, all of those things come around, because you're used to wanting to be with them and talk to them and engage with them, right? And even one of the chapters, I wrote a letter to one of my parents, and it's something that I offer to other people. They're not gone, so just write a letter to them. Just, they could be out of town or in another country, or, in another room in your house. So you can write a letter to them, just like we send text messages now. Send a text message to yourself, but make it to them, right? Send an email to yourself, but make it to them. Get the actual idea and the thought and the feeling out there. Put it out in the atmosphere. There's nothing wrong with that, right? And another one thing I want to tell you is about that book. There are some really key pieces in there when I talk about things that people should do before their parents pass away, that
Mhm.
I was thankful that I did. Spending time with them, talking about their ancestors that happened before you were born is a key for you to take forward, not only just for your kids, even if you don't have kids, to bring forward to your siblings or your cousins or somebody else's, because they may not know your mom or dad may be their mom or dad's sister or brother, and they may have never heard the story. And it helps them understand why they are the way they are, right? Keeping their voicemail messages and just saving those into your email or making some sort of file. There are many a day that I couldn't sleep when I listened to my dad's voice just from my voicemails, and it just helped me go to sleep. So I encourage you to save letters, pictures, voicemails, anything tangible you can get your hands on. That, I feel, and from friends that I've talked to, has been very key in keeping you sane and keeping you off the bridge of depression when it comes to grief. And it helps you in that area of relief. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna say something that I hope I don't start doing that baby cry face in the middle of, but I think that's super important because my uncle Joe passed like right before things took off for the Ashe Academy, and it's on my dad's side. So Joseph Ashe, and he was in full support of us getting this organization together. It's like, oh, that's something I would really like to get behind, like early stages. So it does make me sad that he isn't here in the physical, but we have a wind chime that my
Oh,
dad's coworkers got for him, and every time it starts, I'm like, "Hey, that's my uncle."
yeah,
So
I love that.
oof. Yeah, so I definitely feel his vibrations here. And to segue before I start, it's not for the crying, y'all. Y'all need to know it is okay to cry.
It is.
This is recorded, and I don't need to see and ask our editors to. Can you take out my baby cry face where my face is squinched up and you can't hear anything? It's for the sound, y'all. It has nothing to do with anything. It's okay to cry. Now, I do want to ask you, because since you started out singing, performing, these are external vibrations. What made you want to do something that would be cerebral and, well, if you're reading to yourself, it's pretty quiet. So how does that translate? Like something that's out and about and loud, and then, hey, I'm gonna write something for someone in their quiet moments. So how does that transition for you?
It was a true transition. I will admit that. It was a true transition. In school, I have, my master's degree in vocal performance, but I also studied songwriting. And I think my songwriting is the transition to writing books or
Mm,
writing ideas or writing different things. But I will say I did publish some, or I did have some poetry published as a kid. I still have the books of, things that were published, that, that my parents pushed forward. So maybe there was some sort of writing going on then that I didn't realize. And then the songwriting kind of, solidified it and brought it out and just made it a little more, in the front. So as I transitioned, I didn't transition away from singing, but I transitioned into an additional area of writing. And that writing has been a real key for my expression. So, like you said, I express out loud, and I'm singing and I'm talking, I'm doing public speaking, I'm doing different things. And now the writing of it is that silent force. It's like that quiet voice that has something to say as well, right? And so in writing that, I'm now speaking to people that would not hear me
mm.
singing or public speaking or whatever. This is reaching a whole different level of people. So I feel that it's all a part of that creative space. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I started writing poetry. Well, I started writing trash in high school. Let's call a thing a thing. It was trash then, but then in college, I was a little bit more sophisticated with it. And after college is when I transferred that over into songwriting
Okay.
and then eventually singing, because I was tired of waiting for other singers to take my work. So I was like, okay, well, guess who's going to sing on the track? That's good. So then I started calling them demos because they were not great, but still, it's like, so I think it's great when artists are like, yeah, I just kind of evolved into another art form and it was natural. It wasn't forced. You're like, I had already had some building blocks of writing earlier on, and it just developed from there. So
I love it.
I think this is a beautiful time to segue. We made it without crying. We're glassy eyed, but we didn't cry.
I mean, like,
Perfect time.
matter.
You were going to do it. You said you were going
I
to do
had
it.
to. I'm sorry. I had to.
Shout out to the Ashe Academy store. Get yourself something for everyone in the family: a water bottle, a blanket, a mug. Go ahead. All right. So we actually have a special guest. So I'm going to bring in Kathy right now. But let's segue into your book as we get her on. One second.
I'm excited to see Kathy. Oh,
Hi.
hi, Kathy.
Hello, hello, welcome. Let me do an intro for you before we get you started. So,
Thank you.
Kathy is a former Disney animation artist whose experience started because she knew computers. Her work often it requires both technical and creative skills, and with those interests, she's become able to pursue many passions as well. So, welcome to the room.
Thank you.
So, how did you guys start collaborating even before this project? Because I hear you guys have a history.
Yeah, we actually worked together at a post-production facility in Burbank and uh, worked together on different teams. But I just appreciated how straightforward Keaver was with when she would lay out client expectations from my team to their team. So I just really, we hit it off that way. We had some lunch breaks, some dinner breaks, and we had some mutual friends, and we just kind of kept in touch as we went to different companies and pursued different things. And we've been kind of each other's cheerleaders along the way during all the changes. So that was probably several years ago. I want to say at least 10 years ago, maybe more.
I will say I love the fact that you are a fellow diplomat, because managing, and then if Keaver was managing expectations, that is a very loaded statement. I'm sure there were some difficult clients back then, or difficult people to deal with.
Yeah, there was a lot of overpromising at the company. So I appreciated that she would just say, look, this is how it is. You can have this, but we're not going to be able to do this in this time frame. So what do you want? You know? And so it helped us, you know, nobody looked bad then if you just laid out the expectations. So
Perfect.
yeah.
And nothing has changed. It's still the same way.
Yeah.
Tell all of my clients now, hey, this is how it is. This is what you can have, and this is what we can make happen for you. And everybody's happy, so we're good. Transparency.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So how did Colors of Nature come to be? Where do we start with that project? Does it come with any, does the artwork come before the writing, or does the idea of, like, take us through that journey?
Wow. It's
Yeah.
I know, right? It's
Where did it come from?
it's a long process. So from my first kids CD to album to my second kids album, there was always a desire to have some literary arm, right? So I had talked with branding agents to talk about, you know, a clothing line and a Build-A-Bear line and lunch boxes and plush toys and all these other things. And everybody always said, Kever, you really should have some sort of literary work that encompasses children. And so over the years, I had, you know, thought about it. I'd written a few ideas. I had talked to some other people. And when Kathy and I started talking about this painting, this 8 by 10 foot painting, this gargantuan painting of Eduardo, which is my horse riding along the ocean side, that's now in my living room, we started talking about, wow, we should, you know, maybe have, you know, some sort of artwork in a children's book. And so we've been talking about it for quite a while. And Kathy is just the amazing, in my mind, you know, she always laughs like she just did. She is really amazing when it comes to creativity and when it comes to bringing something to fruition. And I'm just excited that the book took on the life that it did, right? So from our conversations and from, you know, just brainstorming, it happened. And, you know, I kind of, you know, went to her and said, hey, this is kind of what I'm thinking. And, you know, here's a few ideas of text, and here's a few kind of animals maybe. And then she said, well, how about this? And I said, well, this is great. And then we kind of, you know, moved on from there. So, you know, I'll let her kind of, you know, expound on where we went from there, because the creative side of it on the animal side really moved it forward quickly. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it started out as maybe wanting to illustrate it more traditionally or do something graphic. And I've been interested in stop motion animation for several years. So I was already building these small sets and little creatures and puppets. And I made a dog out of clay. I had this little dog, and it was supposed to be modeled off of a dog that I used to have. And I don't know why, but she loves dogs, and she really liked that dog. And I said, well, let me make some other animals. And then somehow the illustrations ended up being these photographic little clay animals inside of little fantasy worlds. And so it's not drawn or painted, it's photographed, but it's sculpted clay animals, and they were a lot of fun to make, and they were a lot of fun to photograph. And so we kind of finished those up. Kever gave me some more animal ideas that she liked, and we had enough for the book. And then we kind of rearranged the text to fit the different animals and the different elements that were in each scene, if you will.
Awesome, awesome. It's growing up as an elder millennial, that's what we call ourselves when we're not, we're not that close to Gen Z, but we are the elders of which. Um, there were a lot of like stop motion, but not even like from the 90s. It may have been like from the 80s, and before, but like I grew up with so much of that content that I love that. That's like a throwback to my childhood, and I wish kids nowadays had more of that. I don't know if they're connecting well enough to the content they're seeing right now. I would just want to show them stuff from the 90s. That's just all
Yeah.
or at least things I was watching. So I definitely appreciate the aesthetic. So how long is the process for you guys to collaborate on the book? Like, did it take a few years for you guys to from start to finish, or
Yeah, we
people need
both
to
were
know?
working. Yeah, we were both working semi-regular jobs in and out of doing that. And finally, I got to a point after the pandemic, kind of my job ended. And then I said, well, now I have, it looks like maybe a few weeks free. Let's finish this. So I guess I covered a good time because we were able just to kind of push forward with no stopping. So yeah, I'm glad because now we're in like encouraged to do more.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be more books in the series, that Kathy and I are going to partner together and complete. And to your question of the amount of time, um, the writing time took time, of course, because Kathy was creating everything. But then even when we got to the book publishing part of it, that took a
Mhm.
lot of time. I mean, it was back and forth, and what code for this color, and what can you smooth this out, and so Kathy was very instrumental in working with the publisher to make sure that the animals were very vibrant and that we captured the atmosphere that they're in, and that was very key to push the book forward. Text and illustration are married, to make something engaging to a child, different age groups attach to different things. A younger child may start off with looking at the actual graphics and the animals and their environment and the color sequence, because the colors of nature color of nature is the title. We want you to understand the color association to these animals in nature. And then the next step for the child, another child coming in, right, with this, kindergarten to second grade group, it can kind of go broader than that, especially if the child is now learning to read. So that child may focus in on the text. So Kathy designed a leading letter that actually, allows them to understand this is this letter, this is the color of this letter, and now here's the text that talks about who the animal is, where the animal lives, a little bit about, your interaction with the animal, and even may ask you a question or two throughout the book. So it's also interactive. All of that took a lot of time, right? And just to get it published, to move it forward, even once we got it on different platforms, that as well took a lot of time because things went wrong, things go right, you have hiccups. It is definitely not a work for the weary. You have to be really engaged and just really, like I remember Kathy sent me a text, but she's like, "Are we done?" I'm like, "Girl, we're just getting started."
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And it's and that's what I was asking when I did my first book. I'm like, "Okay, we wrote it. Are we done? Like, can we start working on the next one?" Right? Now we're here with you talking about it. We're working on our brand. We're working on getting it out to the masses, the people that we don't know. We're looking at our extensions, and Kathy and I have been in discussion for a lot of other things we want to do with it. I don't know if those are still secrets yet, so I'll let her talk
I don't either.
about
Yeah.
that.
Well, I have an announcement. I will be putting my hand in there. We're going to be, and this is actually a follow-up announcement on the show. We will have some social posts that have already gone up by the time this does. But we're adopting 10 classrooms across the nation. So I will be providing them with copies of your book. So
That is
let's.
amazing.
Yes, you'll get a big order coming in soon for those 10. Well, it's probably
Oh,
two copies of a classroom sounds good, right? Let's do that. So I'll take care of that.
oh, that's amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ashe Academy.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what would you say is the most rewarding part of finishing the book? So you're finally done. All the publishers like, okay, this is acceptable. We're good. Everything's sufficient. So the art and all of its pieces are done. Like, what was the most rewarding part for you?
I think getting the copy in the mail and opening it and then showing it to people and seeing them liking it. And saying, oh, this is really cute. It reminds me of this, this, and this. So
Awesome.
mission accomplished there. I hope. We'll see. There's always going to be critics. So I'm bracing for people to, to have the not so nice things to say, but hopefully it accomplishes its goal and children like it and appreciate it and maybe want to keep it.
Perfect. But in that moment that you're showing it to other people, is it like relieving that it's a real thing now? Like, okay, we have the physical book.
Yeah, it's scary. It's a little scary too, because it was a private thing that now, we've released to other people, open for commentary.
Agreed. And same for me. I mean, my was, I think, receiving the book was, that exciting moment for me. But I think too, the first review on Amazon was a big deal for me, right? And also seeing a child reading it on Instagram. Was it yesterday or the day before? A friend of mine sent me her friend's son reading the book and going through the pages. The child was young and couldn't read, but was engaged by Kathy's illustrations. And to me, that was like Kathy said, I mean, that's why we're doing this. That's why we're doing this.
You kind of do a double take when you see a picture like that, because oh wait, that's what we did. That's our book. It's kind of surreal. It came together really quickly at the end, actually.
I agree. Yeah. Because now we're reaching people that we don't know. Like, I didn't know the mother, I didn't know the son. And so to see them engaging in the book it was just heartwarming. It was great. It was great.
Beautiful. I think something people take for granted, and it doesn't matter between the arts and STEM, but like when you create these things, like everything starts as an idea. Like, this was a quiet moment in my head. Maybe I woke up and I was like, okay, I need to write this down. Like, this is going to become something. And then went from there, however many years it might take, or however many months. Some people are quick. It could become weeks. It could be hours. But from that, the concept to fruition, it's crazy that you can think things up and they can exist and they can impact people. That's the part, the impact.
Yeah.
So that I'm sure you're trying to hold back some tears when you saw that video.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I have a couple questions before our final Q&A session. So, Kathy, if you'd like to stick around, we do have a couple more questions.
That'd be great.
All right. So, first question is, beside the art, like anything you're creating, what brings you joy?
Well, creating, I think being outside, being with animals brings me
After
joy.
this pandemic, being outside.
Yeah, well, I mean, I took a lot of time during the pandemic. Oh, the weekend that they closed Griffith Park down, the hiking trails and everything, I was like, oh no, that was the last thing I had, to go out and keep me sane. So I'm glad that didn't last. I spent a lot of time outside, spent a lot of time trying to create. I also spent a lot of time working, unfortunately. So that was keeping me very busy. But yeah, I think just doing, I like to paint. That brings me joy, and animals, of course, being around my friends, I'm very, very happy now to be able to spend time with my friends. And I'm trying not to take anyone for granted. Like Keaver talked about earlier with her book, it's like, think about conversations you have with people and keeping conversations and photos. You never know what can happen. So many people are gone after this pandemic, and you just don't know who's going to be there 1 minute and gone the next. And so I try to keep my friends close by and enjoy collaborating with them and just sheer fun with them.
Absolutely. Kathy's trying to get us to cry again.
Oh, it's a good thing. The bad part's behind.
Absolutely.
Right? So yeah, here's the little doggy. Can you see him? There he is in real life.
Awesome.
See, that makes Keaver happy. Doggy.
Keaver, in addition to the doggy, what brings you joy?
Friendships bring me joy, and my friendship with Kathy really brings me joy. I absolutely cherish my relationship with Kathy, and the fact that we can do business together and that we can be creative together is just amazing to me, right? I mean, it's like a lot of people wish they could do that and haven't been able to do that, but our friendship has lasted over time and scenarios and other people, and just it has just lasted, and I value my friendships more than anything at all. I do.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, what does success mean to you? And either of you can hop in first.
Yeah, Keaver, why don't you get this?
Wow. Success to me has been a peace of mind. Um, Being able to wake up every day and be grateful and be thankful. Success to me has been, of course, accomplishments. People consider what you accomplish as you've been successful. But and even pre-pandemic, I've had people pass away in my family, as you know, from my first book, and just things happen. Um, Success to me is sharing. Success to me is giving. Success to me is being able to put your feet down in your own home. Success to me is being able to walk outside and smell the trees and the flowers. And, success to me is hugging a dog and having a dog kiss you back. I mean, to me, that's success, because there are a lot of people in the world that don't have anything that I just named, right? So success is not the job you have, because the job is not you. Success is not how much money you have in the bank, because that money is not you. And as Kathy, stated, earlier, you could wake up tomorrow or not. I mean, this pandemic has really brought a lot of things to the forefront that maybe we forgot. A lot of people feel that the pandemic may be a bad thing or a good thing. I will say that the pandemic has given me time to be still and to understand what really matters in life and what success really is, and gratitude and thankfulness and appreciation are like the top three of my levels of success.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah. I think success for me, again, not defined by money or a job. It's nice to have a little bit of career success where you have your name up, on a credit or recognition for that. But I think it boils down to more how you affect people and sort of the legacy that you're going to leave behind. And I think about a friend of mine who did pass away, that not just was somebody that I like spending time with, but when I think about what I want to leave behind in this world, I think along the lines of the kind of person that she was, and that I want people not only to miss me, but what I did, and maybe leaving behind some inspiration, like this person did this, this, and this, and was so generous for these people. And it makes me want to give more, and it makes me want to do more, to be kinder person, a more giving person, to have people love me. I think that's success. It's just realizing that you love people and they love you back. And having that be like, the people that you want to be in your circle, having them around. Yep.
That is a heavy comment or a heavy question. How do you want to be remembered? To reflect on that is too much for me right now. I appreciate it. Kathy, thank you so much for joining us. We
Thank
are
you
going
for
to wrap
having me. This
things
was great.
up with our final Q&A. But yeah, appreciate you. And this work is so beautiful, and I'm happy to send it out to our 10 classrooms. So
That is awesome. That is
can't
Yeah.
can't wait. Can't wait.
Are the panelists allowed to ask another panelist a question?
Are you asking me or Kathy?
I would like to ask the both of you a question.
Sure. Changing things up, season 3.
So, starting off, Kathy, I would ask
Come on, voice. Come on, voice.
I feel like I'm on a game show now.
a game show. I would like to ask you, for the animals that you create and the atmospheres of which you create to put the animals in, how do you get started in that? And how would you give a word of encouragement to other creatives in the arts that want to get started in that field of claymation? If it's, building the clay animals, if it's to build and put them into films, like how would you
Mhm.
how would you hand that off to someone else?
I remember a friend of mine told me, he said, and it's so simple, but it's complicated too. He said, if you want to be a director, direct. So find something that you like to make, whether it's clay or paper, little puppets, even Fisher Price people, whatever you want to do. Get a camera, make little scenes. You don't have to have any kind of fancy camera, but just put something together that you like. Maybe there's a story that you can duplicate or a story that you make up on your own, and just kind of put it together. And you don't have to show it to anybody, but just practice doing that. And eventually you'll find out that someone will discover it by accident or see it on purpose, and it'll resonate with them, and they might encourage you to do more, and just let that enthusiasm carry you away. And so that's how filmmakers learn. That's how artists learn. They just try stuff. So don't be afraid to try stuff. Don't be hard on yourself. It takes 10,000 hours, they say, to master a skill. I don't know. So I'm not there on any skills yet. But that's what I would say to do, is just dive in and just do it for yourself, and find something that you enjoy, even if it's silly.
I love it. I love it. So, Sammy, I kind of want to ask you the same question. So, when it comes to not only the Ashe Academy, but to you personally, with your creativity and your ability to just really tap into the next steps of your career, how would you encourage someone else that wants to be the next you, that wants to start a nonprofit, or that wants to even help someone in STEM and in the arts, right? How would you kind of encourage them on their journey of creativity?
Now, a song popped into my head by Gnarls Barkley, Neighbor, because I want you to be the next you, be you. Don't try to duplicate this. This is actually why the organization exists, because I'm like, if we could stop a lot of the failures that happen, I want you guys to fail, lean into your failures. Like, let's do that. Let's trip and fall and figure out, okay, I don't want to hit that pebble again. Let's figure out a way around that. But if you could have fewer of those, that's really where I'm at. But like, don't follow exactly what I did, because getting here is a hospital stay for 11 days in the middle of grad school. Uh,
Oh,
yeah. Getting here is a lot of money owed to Sally Mae. Like, I'm trying to stop all of these things from happening to other people, but it has given me a beautiful outlook on life. I wake up every day thankful for being here. So like that's the zest I have for my life is exactly what I want people to get out of everything I do. I am literally giving every waking moment to other people. So you guys will never know how many hours I put in to just give back to people because I could have been not here a few years back. And that's exactly why I appreciate that question, Cover, because people don't know that. They're like, oh, well, like, it's just an organization. It's not that to me. So I appreciate every moment that I'm able to give back. Every idea that I come up with in every little campaign, I'm like, okay, we're doing this, and we end up doing it. Like, I am so invigorated by that. So Kevin trying to get me to cry on camera again. My gosh. But no, I like anyone who sees anything that I create and you want to do that, just like Kathy said, do it.
Yeah.
If there's any obstacles that I can help you with to get there, I'm happy to help. But don't let anyone stop you. Don't let the obstacles stop you. Keep going. There's many times that it's been patience that got me to the next step of, okay, like, oh, I saw it was going to be 3 years before I actually got what I wanted, but I had to wait and be in those moments and be at that job that actually ended up connecting me with someone else that I'm connected to now. So just be okay with the feelings of being stuck and try to get out of it, but sometimes you're there for a reason. So that's all I got. I'm gonna if you want things, you can have them and you deserve them. So I am here to help with that, and that's it. That's all.
That's good.
All right. Thank you so much, Kathy,
Thank
and
you.
thank you so much, Kevin, for trying to get me to cry. We're gonna segue into our final line of questioning. But Kathy, have a wonderful evening. We'll talk
Thank
to
you.
you later.
Good night.
Love you, Kathy.
Bye.
All right. So here is our final Q&A. Are you ready?
Okay.
I promise it's not the hot seat.
Hold on. Ashe Academy. Ashe Ashe Academy.
Take a moment to uh, make sure you are hydrated. If it's water, if it's not, that's your business.
It is actually alkaline water.
There we go.
Go Academy.
All right, so let's get right into it. Who is your biggest inspiration?
My biggest inspiration has been my parents. My biggest inspiration has been my parents. And that was based on what they went through for their life, jobs they had. My dad was military. My mom, worked on an area of NASA. So it was all they went through to become who they are and what they did um, was my inspiration as a child. My eldest brother, he was military as well, and he loved to cook and he loved to sing and he played drums, he played guitar. I mean, that as a child, being in the same home with him was an inspiration.
Mhm.
You know, just looking at my family and my cousins, and you know, just just overall, my family has been my inspiration. Of course, we have other things, whether it's a book we read or a process that we studied or a meditation technique that we learned,
Mhm.
going to church and reading scriptures, all those things, of course, can motivate you to do something. But I feel overall, my motivation was stemmed from my parents. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. So who do you hope to uplift with your work? We've heard a little of it along the way for this conversation, but at the end of the day, who is that person you're looking to uplift?
Definitely children, but as well their parents. It's really important to me that parent-child relationship is remembered and never forgotten. There are so many of us that don't have it or have lost it. And I
Mm,
think it's very important from the birth of a child to the death of a parent. I feel that that relationship is key, and that relationship is what keeps us going along this journey called life, right? So, in all that I do, every project that I do, I mean, to touch the child and to touch the parent, that's that's it. That's the whole motivation. That's the success. That's that key. When people say, grab your keys, like that's the key right there. Yeah,
beautiful. That is so important to me as well. Parental engagement, and not just for the kids as a support system, but like the parents too. Like you could change careers, and like that's what I just want everybody to know. Like it is okay not to know everything, and we're gonna help you.
and there comes a time when the child helps the parent. There comes a time, right? Whether, I mean, and from parents, people that I've talked to, from parents I've talked to, their child could be 3 and they give an encouraging moment for a sad day for that parent. The child could be 30 and they give an encouraging moment for that parent to still continue. The child could be 60, and if the parent is still alive, that child could still be encouraging that parent and vice versa. So I feel that that relationship is what's most important for all of the creative things that I do.
Awesome, awesome. Shout out to the Ash parents,
That's right.
for full support of this organization, even when I try to get them to stop donating everything. But no, I think that's very much the thing for them as well, where this is something where they can give back as well. So
Yeah, you
it's
know,
beautiful.
it's beautiful.
Final question in the Q&A section is, how do you stay engaged with your motivation? So what keeps you going?
That's a big one, Sammy. That's seriously, that's a big one. Some things that keep me engaged and keep me going range from prayer, meditation, water, friends, family, exercise, journaling, reading, writing, music, listening, hearing. Those are 2 different things.
Hmm.
Another episode, right? Um, talking, engaging, reciprocating, mentoring, um, all those things together, all those things together, not just one. For me, that's what it takes for me. How about you? How about you?
What keeps me going? Well, I got on my little soapbox and started trying to cry, speak, but no, what really keeps me going is those emails
Mm,
that come back out of the blue that are from someone that, and you never know really your impact.
yeah,
I exist in rooms, I spot the people that need me,
yeah,
I help how I need to help them, but I do it to help. I don't do it for the email. But like every once in a while, someone sends me an email and I get that little baby cry face in my little quiet moments, reading my phone when someone is like, "Thank you for just being there.
yeah,
Thank you for being in the room. It was really great seeing someone who looks like me there." And I'm just like, I just showed up to something I said yes to, and I was gonna be me there, but I appreciate those moments.
yeah.
Yeah, just a simple thank you for people keeps me going. It's literally that's what keeps me going. So,
And I add 2 other things. So there's 2 other things that keep me going. One of them is being blessed to be a blessing. So
ooh, come on.
being blessed to be a blessing. So making money to help other people is one thing that keeps me going. It really does, right? That's really important. And the
Absolutely.
second thing is salted caramel ice cream. Ooh, that keeps me going. Every day, salted caramel ice cream keeps me going. So if any of y'all want to ever donate some salted caramel ice cream by Lactaid, Lactaid, if you're out there, I love your salted caramel ice cream.
While we are plugging, because you just said something that spoke to me, it feels like a little non-dairy leaning type thing.
Oh,
Ben and Jerry. Oh no, is it Ben and Jerry? Yes, Ben and Jerry.
yeah.
If y'all would love to partner with us for that non-dairy life, I would love to. Take this as the request for a proposal from us right now. We will take all that non-dairy and lactate.
Yes, we will.
Come on through. We will. Both of us. We both have a platform. Uh, so,
Yeah, ice cream. So yeah.
other than that, because we're gonna claim it, what's next for you? Do you have anything coming up that people can tune into or show up for?
Absolutely, absolutely. To continue on with the book with Kathy, we do have the hardcover book. So the ebook just released a couple days ago, in addition to the paperback. Next, we have the hardcover book, which is in the works right now. It's been a little bit of a journey for that, but that's in the works right now. After that, we have a couple secrets that are coming up, and
Okay.
they have to do with something in motion. So it might be a commercial, it might be a movie, it might be a cartoon. I can't really share that with you just yet, but we do have some things that are coming up with that. But one thing I can say,
Uh-oh.
I am the voice that narrates the movie All Light Everywhere. That's All Light Everywhere. It's in theaters now. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's coming to television and all those other places. So,
Ooh.
just Google it, check it out. And we got a lot more stuff coming though too. I can't really just unveil everything. I have to keep you engaged for however many episodes we're going to do later. But I am really excited. I do want to say for the things that we have coming. I do want to say I'm excited to partner with the Ashe Academy. I'm excited to be able to give to the community of children and young adults and even parents that are engaged with those kids. So, this is a really awesome relationship that I honor and that I just find is important and beneficial to all the people involved. So anything that I have going forward, I'm just thankful to you because you've supported, and I just love being able to support you as well. So thank you for that.
That's it. That's the episode, y'all. Thank you so much, Kevin. I appreciate you so much for always saying yes, always showing up and showing out. You were one of the first people who believed in us, so I just don't take that lightly at all. So everyone, please go out and get the books with an S, get the music, plural, read into more of Kevin's background because we didn't drop any names tonight, but you have an illustrious career, and we so appreciate the fact that you are willing to just share part of your story because that's not the end of it with everyone. So thank you so much, everyone. This was another episode of the Ashe Academy's Inspire, Uplift, Engage. I am Sammy. Take care. Bye.